everyone. My name is Shosh. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a psychic medium, a mentor, and a radio teacher. And I'm joined here live with Ivy. If you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Ivy Hammond. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an astrologer and tarot reader.
Exciting. So we are here to talk about Ivy's mentorship experience with me. We just 12 weeks of working together pretty intensely around some really specific goals that Ivy and I set together. So we're going to talk about her experience live, sharing what that was like. So I think I'll go ahead and just get into it. I definitely want to begin by just like asking how you heard about me and why you felt called to working together.
So I had first heard about you in 2020. I think I found you on TikTok. Um, and I just felt really called to your offerings and just your energy and vibe. So I booked a reading with you in early 2021, and then I think I had a few other readings with you. And I had like really good outcomes from it, and I was just really interested in working more with you because I had a lot of results. Um, and yeah, that's what led me to the mentorship program.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I remember those sessions together as well. And I was always like, yeah, this person's cool. And I feel like through the years worked together through some like pretty big that you've gone through. And that's
Yeah.
really what offering it felt like the most amount of work. Um, and so I definitely like knew kind of like our consultation, even that like we were going to be a good fit. I was like, cool,
Mhm.
I've worked with her and like she's always done the work after our sessions. And when you were like came into the consultation to share what you were interested in, feeling pretty confident that like those were things that we were going to be able to achieve together. Um,
Mhm.
I wanted to ask if you'd be okay with me sharing the original goals that we set in the program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I guess a little backstory for the people watching this. If when we're working into a mentorship setting, we'll do a consultation first, a 30-minute consultation call to like talk about what potential goals might be achieving by the end of the 12 weeks. So when Ivy and I had our first call together, some of the things that you identified were that you wanted to move through some of the stagnancy in your spiritual practice to create a stronger relationship with your ancestors and with your spirit team. And you wanted to understand more about your own role as a spiritual leader in community and growing this in a way that feels appropriate to you. And then you said you wanted to have a foundation to build onto your astrology practice more. So kind of taking steps and working through potential imposter syndrome stuff or just things as like kind of emerging your business more, your role as like a spiritual leader kind of in your community.
Mhm.
So I want to just ask you maybe about some like sessions or lectures or parts of the journey that felt significant.
Yeah. So I remember early on we talked about the chakras together, and I think that really illuminated a lot of like the channeling that we would do too. Like it gave me a strong foundation to kind of build off of later. Cuz like when you're meditating and you're like going through certain aspects of your body, like being able to identify the actual centers and like learning more about them and kind of like working through like potential blockages or anything that like needed like clearing it all. Like I felt like that was a really good foundational thing for me to learn. Cuz I'm someone that like I mean, even as like an astrologer, like I love tools and I love like having things to build off of. So that one was really big for me. We also talked about mediumship too. And I have always felt like I've had that skill set in some capacity, but when we started talking about mediumship and we started talking about also other channeling as well, it really like liberated me in a lot of ways to believe that I could um, like build off of those skills and like actually cultivate it. So I think like learning about those things from you, like more in depth, was really helpful for like gaining confidence in a lot of ways and also gaining clarity about um, like moving forward and building
Yeah.
off of that.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I feel like, yeah, I would agree those felt like some of the most significant parts of our work together. I also remember in like sessions even before we did mentorship together where you would talk about some things and I was just like,
Yeah.
does she know she's a medium? Did she know she's tapping?
Yeah. I feel like I always kind of knew, but I didn't I didn't really know how to define it or like what that meant for me. So I feel like this experience really helped me in a lot of ways in that dormant kind of aspect. And it wasn't even dormant, just like that part of my life that I didn't know how to describe.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like it's been really cool watching you get more comfortable with that and more confident with it. And you always ask like really good questions, like really specific good questions. I I really appreciate as a teacher. And so it felt really enjoyable just working with you and I felt like we were able to like track that growth really easily as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Cool. Oh, one other thing that I like a question I have in my question list for you is like, was there anything that felt like particularly like really exciting or even like mind blowing in our work together? Like, whoa.
There were quite a few things. The biggest thing that stands out is our past life regression that we worked on together. That felt like a huge breakthrough for me. Because, uh, not to get like too specific, but I think like at the time when we were working through past life regression stuff, I wanted to access lives in which like joy and creativity was like a lot easier to access in some capacity, um, if that makes sense. And just like working with you and like accessing those lives that I had, um, it really gave me a lot of confidence to be able to move forward with like the business that I'm starting and just like good building blocks and like good things to remember about myself moving forward. So that one was a really big breakthrough
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And also,
And
like, I didn't recognize, sorry, not to cut you off. um, I didn't even know that I was able to channel really before we started working together too. Um, like we we channeled for each other quite a bit, and I really liked that I was able to like access that myself and channel for you. Um, and that was a huge breakthrough as well. I mean, I didn't even like realize I had that capacity until working with you,
right.
truly.
Right, and I feel like that can happen a lot for people who are, like, creatives or who just, like, know a lot of stuff in general. It can be easy sometimes to write it off as, like, "Oh, this is, like, a creative idea coming to me," or, like, "Oh, this is just, like, something I've seen somewhere else or, like, read somewhere else."
I know. Yeah.
And does allow you that place to be like, "Oh, I like, here's the validation for oh, we're seeing the same thing. Oh,
Mhm.
we're, like" like, then you're like, "Oh."
I was, like, honestly mind blown when it happened, like, when we were seeing the same stuff and I was, like, saying things that you were like, "Oh, that makes sense," and I was like, "Really?" Um, so, yeah, there's something there. There's something to it.
Yeah, and, going back into your past life stuff was really cool. So I think I do wanna just share a little bit about, like, our intentions going in, because I think that would be, like, really cool for people to hear about.
Mhm,
When we into past lives, so there's a lot of different ways that, I can do this work with folks. So, sometimes we go back to do, like, really intense healing stuff, sometimes we're healing, like, ancestral trauma or patterning, Ivy, mainly wanted to see lives where, like, she was just really confident and creative, and so we, like, went back into these lifetimes where, she was, like, her most strong and confident, and was able to then from experiencing those in her body and kind of retrieving those past life memories, pull a lot of that into this life to, like, feel more prepared for moving forward in, like, what she now, which I think was just really incredible, in itself that we were able to do that.
No, it was very, very cool.
Mm, cool. Well, thank you for sharing a bit about that. My other question, and maybe this has already been like answered, but I guess I wanted to ask that what do you feel like is like the most transformative thing that you're taking away? Do you think it would be the mediumship stuff?
Um, I mean, there's so much that I'm taking away from this, like, truly. I really think it's just, like I feel like I was given a lot of foundational tools that really liberated me to be able to, like, feel more confident in being a spiritual practitioner. Um, I I think that was the most transformational thing. It really, like it makes me feel like I can be a leader in some aspect and just, like, be able to hold my own, if that makes sense. And I'm not looking to, like, be a leader and, like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking for a place where I feel like um not that I don't wanna be a leader, but it's hmm, you just gave me a lot of the foundational tools to be able to be confident about moving forward with it.
Yeah, and I feel like leader can be tricky to like try and like I'm not there, like I don't have all these people coming, but I think in general in just like feeling strong in what you are doing in your
Mhm.
spiritual way, and when people do have questions, like feeling confident being able to answer
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence, and, I do think the mediumship definitely was, like, a very transformational thing that I took away from this as well, also just, like, being able to channel and all of that as well, um, but I think it's just, like, all of it combined has just created a confidence that I don't think I would have been able to access if I hadn't worked with you prior.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I feel like I've just like witnessed this transformation too. It's been so cool. Oh, I loved too you when you were talking about like because we started in the winter and we went through the spring, and you were like, it feels like seasons of like.
Mhm. It really did. I mean, yeah, because we started working together in February, or maybe it was January, but dead of winter, essentially, and I live in Brooklyn, so it's the seasons are very, like, apparent here, and, it just by the time we were done working together, like, all the trees had bloomed and there were, like, flowers everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, this feels like a really nice metaphor."
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it too. Um, my other question for you is then you've been talking a lot about like tools and like kind of highlighting some of them. Do you feel like there's any like one or two like specific tools that you like know you're gonna go back use the most or that feels like very important?
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident in casting a circle. I also feel very confident in, like I feel very confident in casting a circle. We also worked with the pendulum a lot, which I think was very cool. I didn't feel very confident working with the pendulum before we discussed it in more in depth. But I really think like casting the circle and like channeling. We also talked about astral projection for a little bit too, and that all of those things I think really are very important takeaways for me.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the circle casting is such an important like beginner tool. That's like usually where I start. I think almost always where I'll start with people because
Yeah.
to me part for like having that discernment when you are channeling and for just I feel like being able to even just like feel the power of like whoa, I can call on like the four directions and then I can call on my spirit and then they're here. Like
I just didn't like I felt like that was like one of the most important tools for me taking away from it just because like I didn't really have that skill set before. Like I didn't really like I knew about it, but I didn't know how to like practice it consistently. Um so I think that was a really simple but very important takeaway.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that. Um, So yeah, I'm just like I'm looking back at your outcomes from just like our work together because I kind of went back to look at the original goals and then where we ended up. I feel like we've talked about most of these. Um, yeah, I think that one of the that I like wrote in here too is that there's a lot more like energetic discernment and like intentionality in your practice is like where I feel like you've gotten.
Definitely. Yeah.
um, so my question is then, when you came into working with me, I feel like you did already have somewhat of a developed like spirit practice. You already knew some stuff. You already, doing things. Um, I want to ask how supported you felt as someone who already had a somewhat developed spiritual practice.
Um, Extremely supported. I felt like I could come each week to you with, like, so many questions and, like but, like, very well thought out answers, but also, like, I feel like because we worked together in the past, I don't know what it is, and we also, like I think we have pretty, like, good, like, we've just worked together really well. I feel like, yeah, I think with us sorry, what was the question again? I just know
How supported you felt as someone who
oh,
already
yeah.
had developed spiritual practice.
It, it just felt like you didn't come with any questions that were, like, bad questions or, like, you didn't think anything was a bad question. You always, like, worked through it with me and, like, helped me come to an answer that felt, like, supportive. I don't know how else to describe that, but, like, I felt very supported by you just because I was able to ask anything and I didn't feel like there was any, like I don't know, you were just supportive and you were understanding and empathetic about
Hmm. Thank you. I really appreciate that back. And I do feel like we worked well together. I feel like we like developed a good rapport. And I love the questions you brought. I love when people can all these questions. I feel like it's much easier for me to go from that than like just sharing whatever I think is applicable.
really.
um, so for other people who might be interested in working with mentorship with me, would you have any notes or comments for them who would be considering this 12-week program?
Um, I think if you want to expand your spiritual practice and just feel more confident and like clear in your capabilities, I would definitely recommend working with Shosh. And, I mean, it's I feel very transformed through this experience with you. Um, and I feel like I was able to cover a lot of like ground in a very short period of time.
Hmm. Thank you. I appreciate that insight. Um, so the last thing that I would really love to do is to actually highlight your services a little bit.
Sure.
So share about them a little bit. This is the space to do so.
Yeah. So I do birth chart readings that are about 60 minutes long. And we'll just go over like major themes or any planetary like movement that's going on. We can talk about timing and we can talk about like other major themes or just like elements of your life that you have questions about. So that's one of my offerings. And I also do tarot card readings as well, where we can just discuss and about anything that you might have in particular. So
Hmm. Cool. We're gonna include Ivy's Calendly, like where you can book with her below in this video as well.
thanks.
Um, I would definitely recommend it because Ivy just did some even just like channeled readings for me, and I thought that that was so beneficial. And I feel like the things that you were able to like tap into were very accurate and very helpful for me, even as we were just practicing your channeling ability. This is really good insight. This is great, and
Thanks.
I appreciated even just your ability to do that and like watching you hold space for me. So I feel like I can advocate for working with you in that way.
Thanks.
So anyone watching this either live or in the replay, if you are interested in working with me in my mentorship program, I also have my link down below. You can do a consultation call with me to start, or you can send me an email, and we can just see a good fit. But thank you so much, Ivy, for coming on here and sharing about your experience. I think a lot of people relate to a lot of the stuff you shared, and I just really appreciate to share this space together.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much, Shosh.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna end the live stream now. How do I? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Bye.